Well, the Court of Appeal in Owerri, Imo State, on Thursday, which was yesterday, sacked Julius Abure and recognized Lamido Apapa as the national chairman of the Labour Party. The court also ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission to immediately recognize and publish the names of all the governorship candidates produced by the Apapa-led National Working Committee in Imo, Bayelsa, and Kogi states. The court dismissed the governorship candidature of Senator Atan Achonu of Imo State and others belonging to the Abure-led LP faction. Well, we still have Cyril Abaku with us. He's a VOP in-house analyst. Now, Cyril, please, I would like for you to provide some sort of insight into the background and qualifications of Apapa as the newly affirmed LP chairman. Well, national chairman, actually.
Newly affirmed, only to the extent that the court in Owerri has not spoken. But before the court in Owerri spoke, I think another court of coordinate jurisdiction in Benin also spoke in April, affirming Julius Abure as party chairman. The question now is, which of these courts are we going to go with? Which of these courts are we going to consider to be more authentic than the other? If two courts of appeal are saying the same thing, I find it personally worrisome. I find it reprehensible. I find it obnoxious that a country's judicial system can still, that after 23 years of practicing democracy, we can still be at this level where one court says one thing in one place, another court says a different thing in another place.
The same appeal courts.
The same courts that are on the same level, you know. So I think clearly the problem is not even what the courts are saying. The problem is, why did the court say what they said?
Why the confusion?
Well, you may call it a confusion, but perhaps if we spoke to a political strategist, he may call it a different name. But if you permit me to digress a bit, you know, I've always said that we needed to go to that, because of the coup in Niger, we needed to go to Niger and to oust the coupists, or at the very least to create a stalemate, so that what has happened in Niger does not advance any further. So if somebody is confident that he can get the court to speak in his favor, why won't he go to the court? Why won't they try to create confusion rather than loss?
But Abure will still go to the same appeal court, file another one, and then possibly we are going to hear another would I say, conclusion from another court.
He won't.
He wouldn't?
He won't.
So he's going to respect what the court has said, allow Lamido Apapa being in charge?
No, not necessarily. Now, it is either one of them is the chairman or none of them is the chairman. Because what I know is that in April, the Court of Appeal in Benin said Abure was party chairman. Now in August, Court of Appeal in Owerri saying Apapa is party chairman. So who are we now going to believe? It is either none of them is party chairman or one of the party chairman. It's got to be somebody anyway. So, and what I said earlier, I said, if you are confident that the court or the judge is going to be magnanimous, is going to award you a judgment in your favor, why won't you go to the court anyway? You know, so normally, I mean, by conscience or by morality, you should know that if let's say the High Court said this, you took it, then the normal thing from High Court you go to a Court of Appellate jurisdiction. But when you lost at the High Court, you now go to another High Court that gives you the judgment you're looking for. One High Court said yes, the other High Court said no. How do we now know which one to believe and obey?
So let's go to the bane or the foundation of this problem. For Lamido Apapa, I remember when the first time, the conflict came up, questions were being asked at several media functions or forums that he attended. And he said that he has been a long-time member of the Labour Party. Most of the members who have joined are just very new. He has sacrificed for the party. He was once the state's national chairman executive of the Labour Party. They've been able to, I think in Ondo State or so, where they produced one of the governors at the time. And so he said that ideally, when it comes to the hierarchy, in terms of persons who have been in the party for so long, he ought to be the one in charge. Now, this new crux of supposed members who joined, they had a national working committee. Based on a vote of confidence, they voted in Julius Abure. that was where the situation became a problem. For apparently, the principal of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, seems to also recognize Julius Abure as the chairman. So it almost feels like when the Labour Party began to gain momentum and attention, it became prominent for certain persons to be identified as the chieftain or the chairman of the party. Now, some other critics have said that persons are paying Lamido Apapa to cause this conflict. Don't you think that the Labour Party should see how they can come together to resolve this if they want to seem as a formidable party that is organized?
No, so I think that they've left it for too long. They've not managed this risk as they ought to have managed it. They've not been political about it. You are in a political space, you have to be political about certain things. When I mean political, that is, you have to recognize the politics and step into it and take pragmatic decisions and whatever it is that needs to be done. Look at the APC. How did they push out a whole former governor, former senator, a politician of pedigree, who was party chairman? They were able to ease him out. And that's the, but please mark the word, they were able to ease him out. The secretary eased out. The secretary was Iyolo Mishori. Those are not political lightweights. Those are tested men. Those are politicians with pedigree. Omishore won the Senate seat from prison. I'm not sure before he did that. It had happened in Nigeria before. That somebody will win Senate seat from, But so these are men who clearly have something going for them in the political space. But your president, our president, in the manner of speaking, your president is not somebody who you can push over when it comes to political tactics. He's equally equally tested and astute. So, but what has happened? I believe them is out of reckoning as party chairman. Okay, how did the APC do it for a ruling party? That's unprecedented. No, in the PDP days, you hear one court said, another court said they push them out of the party secretariat. None of those happened. Ganduje stepped in. There was no vote, it was affirmation. Ganduje stepped in. Senator Ajibola Bashiru stepped in as secretary. They did it easily. Who ought to bear the brunt of the politics of the internal politics of the Labour Party that is not doing what he ought to be doing?
Okay, you do know that recently the governorship candidate under Julius Abure has already been publicized. They've actually done a campaign for Owerri and I think Edo State. Now, the court ordered INEC to immediately recognize and publish the names of all governorship candidates produced by the Apapa-led National Working Committee in Imo, Bayelsa, and Kogi states. You also have another situation whereby, since, under Abure, those governorship candidates have been flagged off. Now, Apapa is saying that immediately his leadership is commencing. So, at the crux of the matter concerning Imo, do you think this is a strong arrowhead for Hope Uzodinma, considering the situation, the quagmire now with the Labour Party?
Uzodinma is a member of the APC. So you mean, okay, whether to help him
to edge him forward? No. Because now there is confusion. Apparently, whoever it is that they have, for under Abure, that they have agreed will be the governorship candidate. What if Lamido Apapa is not in tow with that?
Of course he is not, and the court has said in particular that the candidate of the party for governor of Imo State that was produced by Abure cannot stand. But here's the thing. Let me give you a very wild scenario, and because it's Nigeria, anything can happen. So don't. If Labour Party gets its politics right, its internal politics right, because the way they are going, they want to go at it as novices and people who now you have the appeal court fight.
They want to go with it as, or they are acting as.
Well, I think both are the same. It's like 6.5 a dozen. So now the question is, what is the way forward? The way forward is the Supreme Court. I hope.
Which could take time.
I hope it's not just it's not just the time. I hope that going to the Supreme Court, one of the parties will be more confident of getting victory than the other. The way they were confident of getting victory yesterday. So you see, this is the thing with you're in politics, you have to play the politics. Sorry, Moses. I find it sometimes worrisome that the Labour Party acts as if they are not in Nigeria. I'm not calling for them to do anything that is immoral or that is against the law, but it is called politics. the APC didn't break any law. Is it not Abdullah bringing in Ganduje? Somebody has to put his weight on the ground and say,
Okay.
you know. But I don't see anybody doing that for them.
Like
Some days ago, news came out that they wanted to go into an alliance with the NNPP, the PDP, and so on. And the spokesman said, no, it's not a merger, it's just an alliance. So I began to, and of course, he didn't say more than that, and I began to think, okay, so these Labour Party guys are beginning to realize that this thing may not be as easy as they have thought it would be. You know, that in politics, 6.5 dozen may not be the same thing, to be very fair. You know, so, but the fact that they're even waking up to realize that some of these pragmatic steps are necessary was what began to give me hope that, okay, maybe they're waking up to the reality. Please.
Now, you've cited the instance of the APC easing out
Yes.
its national chairman. Now, what does this say as to the political will and the pragmatism of Peter Obi
Yes.
as the principal now?
I mean, again, the fact is,
And his ability to coordinate things.
yes, to put his roof in order so that the rain doesn't leak into the house, because you never know how far it goes. The reality for me, I think, is that Peter Obi needs to put his foot more firmly on the ground, and that won't be to be a dictator. What it would simply mean is that as party leader, as party principal, as presidential candidate, as party, as in a manner of speaking, as party arrowhead, okay, he will have to call these people together and seek rapprochement. You know, the other day, Apapa said that he called Peter Obi, I think 17 times or so, and Peter Obi didn't pick. Assuming without conceding that was even true. Okay, why did that have to happen? Why? In politics, you must think. In fact, you must have, by today in 2023, you should have thought of 2030. What's it called? 3033. If it was possible. No, you have to think the whole back end. It's end-to-end thinking. You don't come in the middle and thinking of. So, for example, you don't remove Abdullahi Adamu and not have a good replacement. They already had the person wanting to use to replace him. The person was there on the ground just waiting. Once they got him to resign and walk and step out, they said, "Oh, God, fill in the blank space." Are you aware that yesterday they wanted to inaugurate the party exco, the APC NWC, and Ganduje didn't show up, and for that reason, the swearing in didn't take place. And you can't tell me Ganduje didn't show up because of why wasn't there? What they wanted was for that swearing not to happen, and it didn't happen because it was not there until you sorted out. But I wonder how politicians lack political instinct. I like politics. I like discussing politics. I love strategy. So I wonder why you came into a party and you've not thought of the long term.
So do you think it is not surprising to hear some very, would I say, confident statement from the opposition party, this time around referring to APC, when they're so confident to put themselves out there by saying that the Labour Party cannot and will not have the capacity nor the might to be in charge? Because when you're seeing pocket holes, like, for example, Lamido Apapa has seemed to be a thorn. Somehow he always comes up when things seems to be sailing smooth with the party.
Well,
now the situation is this. The last time this whole Lamido Apapa quagmire sprouted out, the Labour Party seemed to be disorganized. Julius Abure, Peter Obi on several occasions held press conferences and they assured people that the house was in order, that Lamido Apapa's situation was just, would I call it, pardon my word, a nuisance, just trying to make the party seem, unregulated. Now we're hearing this, and now the court has mandated INEC to do the needful, which I'm very sure that between now and possibly next week, INEC will do that, today. Unless, so you can imagine the confusion that is ongoing. So it makes the parties seem like they don't understand Nigerian politics, and that's why sometimes you hear statements from the APC stalwarts by saying these are babies. They don't even know how to play the game.
No, I mean, I was being euphemistic. The reality is this: when you hear the APC say they are confident, they are sure, they know they are where the help is not going anywhere. I don't vilify them for saying those things. It's politics. And what did the LP say in return? Or even if they said, we don't know, but we can remember what the APC said. It means something's wrong with the Labour Party. You know what I mean? That's one. Number two is the fact that we need to, the LP, and I can't do the thinking for them. You ask yourself, exactly what is the APC standing on to make that boast? They're not just making a boast for nothing. And it's like, that boast is a prophecy because everything they say, it is the LP that supplies the evidence. to back up what the APC is saying. So this sort of thing, I think that I mean, even if P2B wouldn't be the one doing this, there must be somebody in the Labour Party whom he has to have hired that will help him to play the politics. Somebody must be there to
put the house in
order. And for the lack of a better word, please, nobody should play dirty, but it's called a dirty job. Somebody must be there to do the work of strategy, the work of, I have the principal's authority.
Okay.
And part of attorney, okay, so Oga, come. What is the problem? Calm down. When we win the election, we will give you X, Y, Z. You have to make such promises.
Sir, you mentioned the word nobody has to play dirty, but there is a saying that politics is indeed dirty.
What?
Okay.
Please.
Okay.
People don't break the law. Don't do what is wrong. But there must be give and take.
This political.
By the time you won the election as governor or president, there will be IOUs. It's a normal thing. I don't see anything wrong with that. So, for example, first of all, the head of your campaign group cannot not be in government. Ideally, your campaign manager, your campaign DG, becomes your chief of staff. These are global accepted standards. We look at the Tunde Ayeni, I think that's his name, the chief of staff to the governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu. He was his campaign DG. I told people, I said, anybody who is campaign DG automatically should become chief of staff, and there's a reason for it. It happens in America too, at the White House. The president chief of staff is ideally the person who ran. You know why? Because people who donated to the campaign, okay, policy must favor them. It's a normal thing, tax cuts and things like that. Then party leaders too will report to the president through him. So the politics and policy comes to have synergy in the chief of staff. So you can't now have him run the campaign, manage political interests, manage donors, manage volunteers, manage everything. Somebody comes to me and says, Mr. President, you can make me something, and he's chief of staff. Go and vet. What did this man really do during the campaign, or who is he? That's the line. So that's, I mean, even that as simple as that, it's like an IOU. And people who on many fronts have made sacrifices for the party, you owe them something. You owe them something. So that in itself is like, do for me, I do for you. So if that is like the dirty job, of course I can understand that. But the way and manner in which Lamido Apapa, I think he's doing this thing because he feels he has a point to prove. Maybe he's been despised, maybe he's been looked down on, maybe he's been... So
you know this pain of, I started off the party, and then you're coming to tell me that I wouldn't be in charge of the party anymore.
Yes, but again, we know, I mean, anybody who understands politics well, I always say, I like politics. So the challenge now is this. You couldn't have maintained a legal process for months, even weeks, but for months, up to the Court of Appeal, gotten judgment and so on, from your pocket.
So
I mean,
so are you insinuating
political
that
case?
Someone is financing all of this?
No. The only other explanation would be
no or yes.
It would be that
you're trying to be diplomatic.
Can I land? It's fine. Go ahead.
Can I land?
Okay.
Would be that you feel a moral obligation that gives you the passion to maintain. Or there are people who sympathize with you and are helping to sponsor that legal process for you.
Okay. All right.
And in such a way, since it is your house that is against you, it means people from outside of your house will be the ones for you.
Now, so let me ask you this.
Yes.
Let me ask you this.
No, I didn't answer the question still.
No, it's fine. What impact do you think this whole wrangling we'll have on off-cycle elections? Because just last week we saw Peter Obi and Abure in Edo addressing, people, addressing the people. What impact will this have?
I saw the one of Imo 2 days ago. No, the impact. I mean, it's already there. You saw what has happened in what they caused in Owerri. That it specifically said, and this is how you know that these people, the Lamido Apapa is no pushover anymore. The court specifically said Senator Ethan Achonu cannot be the governorship candidate of the party in Imo State. He was produced as candidate by the Abure faction.
All right, Barrister Ezeluche, good morning and welcome to VOP this morning. Barrister, if you can hear me, kindly indicate or unmute your mic.
Are you hearing me now? Good morning.
Yes, I can hear you. Good morning. Welcome to VOP this morning. Okay, let me continue. So I'm sure you've heard about the Court of Appeal in Owerri, Imo State, giving its judgment and saying that Lamido Apapa is a confirmed national chairman of the Labour Party. Immediately that statement was made, the court also ordered that INEC, that is the Independent National Electoral Commission, should immediately recognize Lamido Apapa and any other candidate of his choice within the Labour Party, on the INEC register to make it official. They also dismissed Abure as national chairman and validated their candidate, that is the legitimate chairman, that is Lamido Apapa. But Abure's faction dismissed the claims recently. But we can see that that is not a fake news, as Abure said. Now, there have been, would I say, campaign missions across Edo, Kogi, and Imo State recently, just last week. And candidates, governorship candidates for this state have already been emerged. They've been publicized under the chairmanship of Julius Abure. Now, these candidates are definitely not the same candidates for Lamido Apapa. What do you think this would be for the Labour Party?
Well, thank you very much. The reality is that this supposed judgment of the Court of Appeal was delivered just yesterday. I have not had access to it, exactly what the contents are. So what we'll be saying is just based on paper publications or public commentaries on it. Not too long ago, about a week or two ago, another Court of Appeal, I think in Abuja, had ruled that Abure was the authentic chairman of the Labour Party. So if indeed another Court of Appeal, which is of equal jurisdiction with the court in Abuja, had gone ahead and given a contrary decision, I think it is something that the National Judicial Council has to look into to understand exactly why courts of concurrent jurisdiction are going to be going about giving different judgments. So these kind of judgments are what creates uncertainty, what brings the legal profession and the justice and secondary dispute. So I really want us to actually study and understand what the language was used in the Owerri decision.
Okay.
To know exactly if what is alleged.
All right. Thank you.
Then. Thank you very, very much. Well, we must say a very big thank you to Cyril Abaku for staying with us on the program. We'll have to excuse you now. Barrister Ezeluche, would like for you to stay with us. It's even a good thing that you came in early.
Sure.
We'll be going into the second topic right now, and this one has 2 persons feared dead, 37 others wounded as a building collapsed in Abuja 2 days after the former governor of Rivers State, now minister of the FCT, assumed duty. Well, this is the conversation we'll get into after this break.